Hi guys, hello and welcome to Bilalism, the World Cup series. Yet another game, yet another loss. Pakistan versus South Africa. We saw a much better performance from Pakistan this time, but sadly, we are now we've now lost a record number of games in a row. Pakistan has never lost this many games in a World Cup in a row before, so we are in a slightly different category or territory now. Unfortunate, but it is what it is. Uh, Having said that, the game itself had a lot of positives, and I'm sure a lot of us agree that as compared to the previous games, a lot of things were done in a better way, which obviously is a good sign for the long-term health of the Pakistani ODI cricket. And I think there's enough analysis that's been done about the game itself. Um, So I don't want to put too much time into just reviewing the same things that you must have watched on a lot of other YouTube channels and social media and on TV. The few things that I would like to point out is that we as Pakistani fans tend to have this tendency of falling out of love of the current captain when they don't do well, which is natural to a certain degree. But at the same time, we have to remember that this time, regardless of who is captain in the future, this guy is going to be the main player for that captain as well, right? So ये थोड़ी सी अलग सिचुएशन है और हमको mindful होना चाहिए as fans to be very careful in terms of how much hate we put out there for Babar Azam. Babar Azam, for all intents and purposes, if he continues the trajectory of his career, will end up as Pakistan's greatest batsman ever. Better than Javed Miandad, better than Inzamam, better than Yunus Khan, Mohammad Yusuf, Zahir Abbas, you name it. All these people. वो इनसे आगे जाएगा in terms of stats. And what you also have to remember is that we are not comparing Babar Azam to non-Pakistani batsmen yet, right? Those people have done crazy things over time. But when it comes to Pakistan's batsmen of yesteryears, उन लोगों ने वर्ल्ड कप्स में कोई इतना कमाल नहीं किया है. And honestly, the reason I'm mentioning World Cups here is because हम लोग जो है World Cups ही की यहाँ पे जो है बात कर रहे हैं, हम World Cups ही पे जो है हमें गुस्सा है. So I think we have to judge all the past players by their World Cup performances as well. So having said that, Babar Azam is still scoring 50s, right? He is scoring 50s, he is scoring 70. He did score a 50 in that pressure game in front of 120,000 Indian fans. So all of that counts for something. Having said that, we know his captaincy has issues. And I don't quite know how such an intelligent batsman who has his game figured out can't make these relatively simple calls correct. For example, and I am being nitpicky in terms of, ignoring all the improvements that were there in this game. कि end में नवाज को लेके आना was, you saw what happened to Nawaz in that game against India last T20 World Cup. I understand it's a different format. I get it. But Nawaz, since then, you have not given him overs in death overs. So why experiment now when your entire World Cup hopes depend on this one over? Possibly because only 4 runs were needed or 5 runs were needed. And Nawaz bowled the same line he bowled to Kohli, right? He didn't do anything different. He bowled the same exact line again. The only difference was that we were a little bit less dumb by not pushing him to bowl medium or medium pace. So Nawaz loses the game, couldn't produce a wicket-taking delivery. It is what it is, right? I don't know why he does not trust Osama Mir. That is something that he's going to have to figure out with Osama and work, and together they can work on it in the future if Babar stays on as captain. The other controversy in the game was the DRS and how the umpire's call, depending on which way the umpire goes at crucial times, it can really go against um, the bowling team or the batting team regarding, I mean, depending on what the umpire's call was. So a lot of experts are calling for the removal of umpire's call, meaning if the ball hits this is showing as hitting the stumps, then it's hitting the stumps, call it that. But one of the main things that's coming out of that is, I think it was Rashid Latif who pointed out Nasser Hussain's presentation about how umpire's call is important because there is the 3 or 4 or 5% error rate that's built into the calculation, meaning that if the ball is hitting is shown as hitting the stumps, it is possible that the ball is actually completely missing the stumps. So simply going with the umpire or removing umpire's call and simply going with the camera work or the calculations of the software is that we are then possibly, in some cases, increasing the size of the stumps. So you can think of the stumps, right now you see the off stump, middle stump, leg stump. The stumps essentially would be a little bit wider if we were to remove umpire's call in some cases. So even if the ball is missing, as long as it's within the error rate, it's going to be assumed that the ball is hitting the stumps. So what's going to happen is the umpires are going to start basically giving marginal decisions as out because they're going to think that if the batsman reviews, then it's going to be given out anyway. So why should I get it wrong? Because all elite panel umpires are judged on the basis of their correct decisions. And that's how Nasser Hussain presented it. Well, my rebuttal to that is that, first of all, any decision that's reviewed should not be part of the elite umpires panel. I mean, they can come up with, varying angles and margins, and then decide if it should be part of, of their point system or not. But the real big thing that I would like to suggest, if anybody's watching that in any way is connected to any of the decision-making people, I think they should really consider. I think they should really consider going with a completely different way of calculating this whole thing. And part of that is, and I would like to bring this here. Let me actually share this with you guys in a more proper way. That they really need to come up with camera angles that sit directly on top of this, meaning from a top view, if they have stable cameras. Let's see if we can zoom in here a little bit. So if they could have stable cameras, 3 cameras, one would be on top of this stump right here, which is the bowling end. Then I would have 1 camera at the right above the batting stumps. And then I would have 1 camera right in the middle. And so as soon as the bowler bowls, right? So as soon as the bowler bowls, the ball is going to be released somewhere here, and then it's going to continue towards the batsman, right? Let's say the impact is right around here. Calculating the line of the ball from this view is extremely simple, right? It's basically a straight angle. So I think they need to really consider bringing these cameras in that sit directly on top. There's a way to stabilize the lens. They have the spider cam. They can use 3 spider cams that sit on top, but they don't really come down. And then they calculate the angles from there. So the line is going to always be 100% correct if this view is available. And look, we know it can be done. this whole thing that there's margin for error makes absolutely no sense. And the reason I can confidently say that is we know that there are satellites out there, right? The American Air Force has satellites out there that if they want to take out even like a pin somewhere, they're so precise that they can hit it. So we know that the technology is out there. Now, if money is a factor, sure, that can be discussed. Someone could sponsor it, possibly, depending on where this is being held. But going with this way of calculating DRS, I think, is the way to go. The only variable that's going to be left after this is going to be height. But height we know is easy, right? You have the side angles. You know exactly what the level of the field is, and you can calculate the angles fairly correctly from the side. But I think that is definitely the way to go. But coming back to the game, guys, it is what it is. No one's doing this on purpose to Pakistan. It just happens to be, a game where Pakistan got badly done by it. Duson's, again, dismissal was fairly close as well. That also would have gone the other way. But moving on to, the more interesting things that have come from the game. So one of the controversies that Rashid Latif shared on TV was that apparently Babar Azam has been trying to contact Zaka Ashraf for 4 or 5 days, and Zaka Ashraf has not responded. He broke this story, which obviously got a lot of sympathy for Babar Azam. That, he is our captain. Why is he being disrespected? And this shouldn't be happening. And part of that controversy was that the reason this is happening is because there are lots of factors. One, that they're not happy with the performance. Two is some people that are part of decision-making teams, whether it's PCB or some of the franchises, really want partnership with a betting company, right? And obviously, betting is not something that is considered, morally legal in Pakistan, and because of that, it has created a lot of issues with Babar Azam and Rizwan, and they're not interested in wearing the logo of such companies, and that has not made people that are trying to basically get sponsorships for cricketers and PSL and the Pakistani cricket team happy. And so people think that because of that, or Rashid Latif sort of indirectly made it a story that, that's possibly one of the reasons why they're not happy, and they're even telling them that they're going to pull their contracts. However, since then, there's been more development. And the development is that, one, Zaka Ashraf has clarified that he has not responded to Babar Azam. In fact, he ended up sharing a screenshot of his personal conversation on WhatsApp with a TV show with, I think his name is Wasim Badami. And it's unfortunate that, now we have personal conversations being shared with TV hosts, and those TV shows are now basically showing these personal conversations to people. Very unfortunate, but that's just the kind of world we live in now. And I'm to what Babar Azam actually said. So here is the screenshot. We'll make it bigger. So Babar Azam here says, Babar, there's also been this news circulating on TV and social media that you have been calling the chairman and he has not been answering. Have you called him recently? And then Babar Azam replies, Salam, Salman bhai, maine to sir ko call nahi ki. And, Mr. Salman says, okay, thank you. Now, I am assuming that the environment that we're in right now, the chairman thought that it was probably best to just make this public so this controversy dies down right here. Another thing that's come out in the news is that they're that apparently that when the contracts of the players were being discussed and negotiated, there was a standstill, and they were not making any ground. So उस वक्त Inzamam ul Haq had to step in and sort of be a mediator in the middle, and he helped, the contracts get settled, and players got exactly what they wanted, which included part of the money from the ICC funds that ICC receives, which, if you think about it, is huge. It's something new that we've never seen before. So that happens, but the new finding is that apparently the agent that basically manages Babar Azam, Rizwan, Shaheen Afridi, I think he's also Inzamam's agent, I'm not sure. The company that he represents, apparently, Rizwan is a part owner of that company, and Inzamam has a personal stake in that company. And that possibly has changed a lot, because it seems like PCB was not aware of this and they're not happy. And when that news came out that they're saying that they're going to pull their contracts or renegotiate the contracts, I think it's on the basis of that new finding. So that would be very interesting to see as to what's going to happen. Clearly, the PCB is not happy, and I think there's going to be a lot happening in the not too distant future, where we're going to learn a lot of new things. And then, last but not least, we have heard a lot of things about Shaheen Afridi, people calling him a very ordinary bowler, and how he's no Wasim Akram, and that people shouldn't overhype him. So the only thing that I want to add to that is, sometimes it is best to let the bat talk. And if you're a bowler, in Shaheen's case, you let the ball talk. So Shaheen Afridi right now sits on 13 wickets. Pakistan, I think, has played 6 games so far, 3 more to go. And to understand the importance of these wickets is to basically look at it this way. These are not fast bowling friendly wickets. In order for you to get the wickets, you have to work very, very hard. You have to be smart. You have to be intelligent. And in this case, Shaheen's team is not doing well, right? So not only is he sitting in one of the highest wicket-taking slots, he's picked up 13 wickets. Now, let me compare that to Wasim Akram's best World Cup. Wasim Akram's best World Cup performance came when? In 1992. Wasim Akram picked up 18 wickets in Australian conditions on bouncy tracks, right? So now let's think about that. Is Shaheen really as ordinary as people make him to be? I don't think so. He's only very, very young still. He's learning. And I agree that with the new ball, he can be a one-trick pony. But that's because of the amount of success that he got last year or in the last 2 T20 World Cups, that he's trying to stick to something that has worked for him incredibly well in almost all conditions until he came to Sri Lanka and India. So he's learning. For Ravi Shastri to go on, major commentary boxes and to say that this guy is average at best, well, explain to me why he has more wickets than most of the Indian bowlers than Mr. Ravi Shastri. Why is that? Exactly. That's what I expected. Silence. So I think Shaheen's going to do well. He's going to continue to learn. He's going to be a force to reckon with in the future, whether it's one-days, tests, or T20s. He's going to be just fine, and he needs to completely ignore morons that just like to say things to please people without really thinking them through. He clearly has not followed Shaheen Afridi properly, or maybe he doesn't really like him because of him, his coaching career ended. Because of him, Kohli's captaincy career ended. And because of him, for the first time in a very long time, no, actually for the first time in ever, Pakistan defeated India in an ICC tournament and didn't just defeated them by 10 wickets. So I understand the embarrassment. I understand they're still angry. And that's fine. But that's the thing. Once you put your name out there, someone as talented as Shaheen is going to respond in ways that you hope he never would. But good for Shaheen. Very happy for the guy. Well, looking at the future, guys, we're in a pretty difficult spot, right? World Cup, I would say World Cup's done. There's really no point in expecting any miracles or any comebacks. If it happens, it's going to be an absolute miracle that we can't even dream of. And to be honest, do we really want to continue to win like that? I don't. I really don't. I'd rather have a team that consistently goes in top four in all tournaments than a team that wins one World Cup and then it's a mediocre team for the next 15 years. That's what I want. You know how the Pakistani T20 team is? It's a good team. It plays well almost always. But there is a problem when it comes to playing against India, when it comes to recovery from those games. And the problem doesn't just exist on the side of Pakistan, by the way. The same problem exists on the Indian side. What is so different about these games that both of these teams, whichever team loses, finds it extremely difficult to recover from it? If you look at the 2020 T20 World Cup in the UAE, when Pakistan beat India by 10 wickets, India was done after that, mentally absolutely finished. They lost to New Zealand. They won against Afghanistan because they always do. But other than that, there was no dominance in that performances. And then Pakistan goes to Australia for the 2022 T20 World Cup, and they lose that game, which, by the way, for the most part, they were dominating. They were supposed to win that game, but we lose in the end. But then after that, they went ahead and lost to Zimbabwe. Totally finished their own World Cup because of the lack of good recovery from the India game. I think that is something Pakistan needs to seriously think about. Just completely take the India game out of the picture for themselves, right? They should be like, okay, we're going to lose, but we're really trying to focus on other games. And we're not going to worry about this game. They're going to have to find a way of not giving this game or that game too much importance. And until they do that, they're going to have those issues. In the 2020 World Cup, when Pakistan was playing India, I had zero expectations. And they shouldn't either. Just play. If you lose, you lose. I mean, even right now, imagine, even after losing India, if they had won every game, they would be on their way to the semifinal right now. But they allowed that game to sort of rule their minds, right? And now we're in this mess. So something needs to be done on the confidence front, because I can promise you, yes, Sarfaraz is a much better captain than Babar. Rizwan may be a better manager than Babar, and he may make better decisions. But I saw him bat against India. He was under pressure also. I don't know why the Pakistani players are finding it difficult to become mentally strong. Again, I'm not saying India's any better, but Pakistan should be better, because Pakistan, for the most part in the past, has played more fearlessly than India, at least, in the 90s. And I keep saying that even though that was not a great period for Pakistan. But there was some fearlessness to the batting, the entrance of Shahid Afridi, and that attitude really didn't transition into anything bigger. We saw people like Imran Nazir come through in that era, yes, but his period was so short that didn't really get carried on. And I'm not sure. I don't know if it's mismanagement of players. I mean, Umar Akmal has had some some what you call characteristics of game like that. He did well in 2009. I mean, sorry, was it 2010 World Cup when Pakistan lost to Australia? He did incredibly well, but then ever since then he just went down. It's like once players become popular, they just lose their minds. Ahmed Shahzad is another victim of that mentality. These players thought they were the shit, and they were not. They weren't there yet. And then we're so lucky we have Babar, who is so good, but he's still so down to earth overall. He's going to go a long way in terms of becoming Pakistan's greatest player for that reason alone. Point of the matter is we've lost some fearlessness in our cricket. And that fearlessness does not mean going out there and just slogging. Fearlessness means that don't get intimidated for no reason. Have some self belief in your game. See the ball, hit the ball. If the ball's not there, you take a single. Work on your individual personal dot balls, remove them from your game or minimize them, and you're going to go a long way in playing a very, very good inning. But, when we look at these teams that have played the last few World Cups, all I see is people just getting intimidated for strange reasons. And I mean, here's our 2019. Here's a 2019 team right here. We can go through some of these people. Sarfaraz, of course, was not in great form, but he was a great captain. Babar, someone that takes his time. Shoaib Malik is terrible in English conditions. I don't know what he was doing in the team. Shadab to me is not a complete all-rounder, not a complete bowler, nor a complete batsman yet. But sure, at that time, he was, coming on the back of Champions Trophy, so I understand. Junaid Khan was a good pick, but didn't really do well. Hassan Ali was not even close to his best that he brought to 2017. I think 2019 World Cup, the reason Pakistan didn't do well overall was because of Hassan Ali. He was the guy that everyone expected would do well, considering how well he did in 2017 Champions Trophy, but he failed. Shaheen Afridi was a nobody at that time, finding his feet at international level, but he did well. Haris Sohail was someone I will never really understand. He had potential, but it always seemed like he had his on days and he had his off days. One person missing here, I think, is Mohammad Amir. Mohammad Amir had a decent World Cup. He bowled some good spells against South Africa and New Zealand. Imad Wasim had a decent World Cup. His bowling wasn't really that good, but he played some crucial innings. Mohammad Hafiz had a decent World Cup. He understood his role. He stayed aggressive, maintained good strike rate. Fahim Ashraf clearly knows people. I don't know how this guy is anywhere in domestic cricket or international cricket. He should not be allowed to play at that level at all. And then Imam. Imam's has been a complete waste of a resource, complete waste of space. He clearly made it to the team in the era when his uncle was the chief selector. I understand his average is good, but he's one of those people with extremely limited talent that can score runs against weak opposition, sometimes good oppositions also, because he's worked very hard on his game and he has decent hand-eye. But he wears glasses, can't pull the ball. Everyone knows that. All they do is ball across to him and short pitch, and there's not a damn thing he can do about it. It's been years. This is not that it should be a surprise. It's been years. Imam cannot play bouncers, and no one wants to do anything about it. I don't know what is going on, but Imam needs to be removed from, that level of cricket. And he should go and work on his game. He should go get contact lenses or he should get LASIK surgery. But this whole BS of allowing him to continue is absolutely ridiculous. But going back to the Pakistan 2019 team, I don't really see a fearless cricketer here except Fakhar Zaman. And same was the story in the World Cups before that. I mean, who was really, really bad played 2015 World Cup? Right? I mean, if you look at this team, Afridi was, not even a shadow of himself by 2015 in terms of batting. We had Suhail Maqsood, who Again, had potential, but no one really knows how to guide players like that. Umar Akmal was there, who basically any short ball he had to pull on really large grounds, and he always got caught out at mid wicket. But other than that, that team had just nobody. Misbah Haq was extremely average cricketer when it comes to one-day cricket, extremely average. But again, he was a hardworking guy, so he could put together a 50, but he didn't have a talent. He didn't have the talent to score 100. But yeah, there was no real, solid T20. I mean, one day mentally strong players that went to 2015 either. In 2011, Pakistan did decent, right? We made it to the semifinals. And the reason that happened is because the team was being led by someone that had played a lot of cricket. And in my opinion, it was all Afridi's experience that took the team into the semifinal. He understood the conditions, he understood his players, he understood his resources. He had a relatively young team with some, mix of experience. Razak was there, Shoaib Akhtar was there, Yunus Khan was there, Misbah was there, and Umar Akmal was there. Other than that, everybody was relatively young, and he used his resources extremely well. And he only dropped Shoaib Akhtar when he really was forced to after that New Zealand game. And Shoaib Akhtar can say what he wants, but he was done. And he had Saeed Ajmal. So in those conditions, Shahid Afridi himself, Saeed Ajmal, extremely potent spin attack. So you can say that the major difference between the team that Babar Azam has taken and what Shahid Afridi took was that he had some, very good spinners for the conditions. Nobody picked Saeed Ajmal ever till he was banned. And Shahid Afridi himself, being, a relatively fast wrist spinner, was extremely difficult to play. So that's really the difference, guys. Sorry I made the video too long, but I just wanted to give you guys a good idea as to what the major differences, in the previous World Cup teams that have done slightly better. And now we know captaincy is an issue, and we also know that Babar is going to be removed from captaincy. But let's hope that, some common sense prevails. We know that if they're going to pick a new captain now, it's only a matter of time when they're going to start disliking that person also. As bad as Babar seems, I would actually keep him for another 4 years, but I know that's not going to happen. They are going to remove him from captaincy. And in 4 years, if we are really lucky, we are going to be happier than we are now. But if we're not lucky, then we're going to be talking about a new captain and removal of another regime of captain, vice captain, coach, head coach, fielding coach, batting coach, bowling coach. The same drama that happens all the time in Pakistan cricket. But yeah, that's where that stands, guys. I do want to make another video regarding Sarfraz Ahmed and his possible comeback. But that's so, look out for that. But please do not forget to subscribe. Please do not forget to hit the bell icon for all the notifications when the new content comes out. We're going to be talking more and more. You guys take care. Bye.